Can you hear how loud my laptop is right now? That is so sad. Hello, welcome back to this week's video. The glare from my windows is going to be really weird. I'm sorry. We have the laptop, and you know what that means. We are going to be tier ranking. All of my 5-star reads. Now, some of these are a little questionable, so we're gonna start off with going through the tiers. So we're gonna have the whole screen up here. So the tiers we have, top tiers. I would die to read this book for the first time again. This is ultimate 6-star, million-star read. Will forever stand as a 5-star in my books. The one right below it's a 5-star for a reason. It had everything I was looking for. It was amazing. Obviously I would reread it, but it doesn't quite meet the 6-star, 10-star tier. Then we have Probably Just Vibes. I rated this book 5 stars solely for the vibes that it had, the plot twist, the love, the banter, whatever. I was probably just running off the vibes, and it was a 5 stars. I'm not gonna change it though. I'll rate a 5-star book. I'll rate a book off of just the vibes. It's perfectly fine. The one right below that is People Change and That's Okay. And this is going to be books that, given my reading taste now, I probably would not give it a 5-star, but that's okay. Because reading tastes change and people change, and that's okay. Then we have I really don't remember this book. These are my 5-star reads that I really don't remember much about this book. And again, probably wouldn't be a 5-star. And then bottom tier, where there are very choice books that'll go in this tier, I feel like I'd hate this now. Meaning, if I reread this book with my reading taste, with my mentality, how I have grown as a human being, I probably would not like this book. So, there aren't many options at the bottom, but we are going to start. Oh, I hate that it's in the order of like me reading them. And I'm sure there's some others, but these are just the ones that I collected from my reading journal from 2022 until most recent. So the first book we have right here is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I just finished this book at the end of January. I'm gonna go it's 5-star for a reason. It wasn't a 6-star, but I definitely ate it up. But it definitely wasn't just vibes, because the enemies to lovers in this is so good. And then plus it had the elements that really like connected to my heart with the Hunger Games. It was definitely a top tier 5-star. Then we have the Fake Out by Stephanie Archer. This is the second book in the Vancouver Storm series, and you guys have heard me rave about this so much recently. I'm gonna have to talk loud because my laptop just wants to be loud. You guys have heard me rave about this book recently. I'm gonna say this was probably just vibes, but I'm not mad about the vibes at all. It's gonna say a 5-star. When I read it in my 24-hour readathon, it was originally a 4.5, and then I moved it up to a 5-star because I loved how there was no third act breakup or anything, and not much miscommunication. The male love interest, Rory, is just such a sweetheart and took care of Hazel so well, and it was just adorable. So there's definitely a romance, probably just vibes, but still a nice 5-star read. Okay, this is where it gets tricky. This is the start of books that I read last year. The first one I have is Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. This is actually the last book that I've read in the Throne of Glass universe, because I never completed the tandem read. She's back. Queen of Shadows. I'm gonna go probably just vibes, because I know I did really enjoy this book, and I read it half on my Kindle and half audiobook. and I remember my like visible reactions listening to everything that was going down via the audiobook. So I'm gonna go probably just vibes, but honestly I don't fully remember all of the plot points that happened in that book. But I feel like vibes is a nice, it's a nice safe bet. Fourth Wing. I have started Iron Flame, and by started I mean I'm on chapter 2. But I feel like I'm gonna go 5-star for a reason, right next to Powerless. I just love the War College and Xaden and Violet. They're just such a dynamic duo. The enemies to lovers, everything leading up to the everything about this book was just so perfect for me. And then the dragons, and it was the recipe for the perfect fantasy in my opinion. Then we have, these are kind of out of order now, but we have Heartless by Elsie Silver. Daddy Cade. I think he gets a 5-star for a reason. 1000%. Heartless is my favorite book out of the Chestnut Spring series. I have finished the series at this moment. I believe I finished it in January. So maybe that was in the January reading wrap up. I know that everyone liked the twist at the end, but listen, it was just so good. It was just the perfect, this chair is so loud. It was just the perfect romance. I truly loved it. But since we did Heartless, we got to go in and do Flawless by Elsie Silver. This one I'll say is probably just vibes. I feel like I've rated this 5 stars solely because it was the hype of the Chestnut Spring series, and I was like, I feel like I need to give this a 5-star because everybody else is giving it 5 stars, and it was the first book in the series, so I didn't really know what was to come after. And at the time, that book had seemed like a 5-star to me. The Enemies to Lovers was definitely hitting, and I liked the aspect of Rhett and Summer. I liked their dynamic. I liked getting the bull riding background and the PR rep and everything. So I truly liked it. I think it would be more of a 4.5-star now, but I definitely enjoyed the vibes. I loved the little introduction to our Chestnut Spring universe. Then we have the Mindfuck series. I would die to read this for the first time again, believe it or not. This book just has my heart. I've never read such a thick... so the Mindfuck series is a compilation of 5 short books, 5 novellas bound into one book, and you follow a female serial killer. Our FMC is a serial killer and kills people from her past, and you initially don't really know why or like what the root of it all is, but you slowly get that throughout the story, and she falls in love with the FBI profiler that is on her case. So that's a little dynamic, and it's a nice true dark romance, and it did its due diligence. The Naturals. I'm gonna lean back a little bit. We're gonna get a little comfy. Then we have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I totally looked over just to like get the name into my head. I feel like I'd say people change and that's okay. Solely because I feel like I've rated the first book of 5 stars just for the hype, you know? I feel like I would rank other books in the series over this one. So I feel like that's a nice safe spot. It would probably be like a 4-star range, but it's not quite. I don't really remember this book because I do remember it quite a little bit. Then we have Say Swear by Megan Brandy. I, again, would die to read this for the first time. I just remember absolutely loving Noah Riley and the plot twist at the end, and I cried, and the weird love triangle, and it was my first football romance, actually still my only football romance, and I would love to read this for the first time. I would love to get to it this year. I read this at the very, very beginning of 2023, and it has still just stuck in my head. I don't know why I haven't branched out and read more Megan Brandy yet, but it's definitely an author that I need to dive into more because I truly loved this book. And if you haven't read it yet, you need to see Noah Riley in action. He is just I don't think I found a book boyfriend quite like him, and it's just perfect. It's perfect. Then we have more Miss Sarah J. Maas. So we have A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Wings and Ruin. Both, actually, A Court of Mist and Fury I'm gonna put in 5-star for a reason, because I did love that book, and that is the first time we start to see the little love spiral between Rhysand and Feyre, and we get the inner circle and all the bad boys, and it's just beautiful, and the politics and everything. In fantasy, I am a diehard politics war girly with my romance mixed in. So with that being said, I would 1000% die to read A Court of Wings and Ruin for the first time again, because boy, was there so many emotions. I think like the whole last 100 pages, I was just bawling my eyes out constantly. It's just, how could you not want to reread this book for the first time again? We're gonna add this bad boy to die to read for the first time again. I was gonna wear my pullover solely for this book, but I'm gonna be honest, I didn't feel like changing. Daisy Jones and the Six would die to read for the first time again. I actually want to rewatch the show so bad. So bad. I absolutely love this book, and I am rereading this probably in the summertime this year. Where's my copy? Because I was going to show you. If you've never seen my copy of Daisy Jones and the Six and how annotated it is to show how much I love it, I didn't even realize I was scrolling. Oops. Okay, this one might seem like a weird one to some people. All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. I am going to put this into people change, and that's okay. This book, I'm going to put it under people change and that's okay, because I'm not really a Christmas romance person anymore. I kind of did it when everybody else was doing it. I read this in, so 2022. I was a romance girl. I had not read ACOTAR yet, was not into fantasy, so I was a diehard romance girl, so it didn't take much, honestly, for me to give it a 5-star. 2022, I gave so many books 5 stars, and the bottom tiers are probably going to very quickly be filled up. But I did really enjoy this book because it spoke to me, the grief the characters were going through. And in particular, one of the main characters' grandmother's name was Granny, and that's my great-grandmother's name. So when they were going through the grief of all that, it kind of really, really spoke to me, and I feel like that was a very, like, personal aspect of the book that I related to. But in the Christmas romance aspect, I feel like I wouldn't necessarily enjoy it as much. It would probably still be like a 4.5 star range for me. But I did also really enjoy the aspect that was kind of like American Idol. That was really fun. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And she, again, is going to go in with Die to read for the first time. I don't want you to think I do love Taylor Jenkins Reid, but I do have some books from her that I didn't necessarily like, and then books that I loved, and these two are ones that I would die for. Clearly, that is why they're in my 8-star tier or 10-star tier. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is a book that truly sparked my love for reading again, and this is the first book I've read romance-wise that had made me cry, like visceral tears. Like, I was not okay reading this book, and I wanted to reread it in 2023 but never got around to it, so I'm definitely going to make it my mission to reread both Daisy Jones and the Six and Seven Husbands in 2024. But that leads me into Ignite Me and Defy Me. Honestly, I don't really remember what happened in either book, but like, I know at the same time, and I'm pretty sure Ignite Me and Defy Me both were very political heavy war books, and that is why I probably rated them so highly. So I am going to put them also in probably just vibes, since I don't purely remember what what happened in which book. Actually, Ignite Me, I'm going to put 5-star for a reason. And then the more I talk about it, the more I remember what each book is about. So we're going to leave Ignite Me and Defy Me where they are. And then we have Addicted for Now. I haven't read any more of the last Addicted Calloway book I've read was Addicted for Now, and that was in 2022. I'm not saying I hated this, like I would hate this book had I read it again, but I did listen to it, so I'm gonna put it in. I really don't remember this book because I have no clue what happened. I just know the ending had a lot of drama and there was like a sex scandal or something like that at the end. Next is another Jennifer Lynn Barnes series. I actually in 2022 gave every single book 5 stars in this series. So this is hard. I'm going to put The Inheritance Games under probably just vibes, because I did start reading this at the peak of its hype, and I feel like in 2022 I was very quick to give a book 5 stars. However, I know I enjoyed it because I only had the first book, and after it was like halfway through the first book, I immediately bought the second one because the third one wasn't out at the time. And for the longest time I had the third one in the UK copy because I couldn't wait for the US one to come out in paperback. So I'm going to put The Inheritance Games under probably just vibes, and then I visibly remember loving the Hawthorne Legacy, so I'm going to put that under 5 stars for a reason, because the love triangle really came to a peak in this one, and my boy Jameson really pulled through, and I feel like there was just so much going on. Every single page was a different theory and mystery and finding these clues, and it was just so good, and the plot twist at the end, it was just insane. And then we get the final gambit. I'm gonna put this in People Change and That's Okay, because I feel like I read it at the height of when everybody else was reading it, so I was equally as shocked as everyone else. But at the same time, I feel like it was really drawn out and anticlimactic. So it would probably be more of like a 4-star read had I reread the trilogy this year, which is the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. Now, I started the Off-Campus series probably the end of 2021, which is when I was going through a lot and I finally discovered what BookTube was realistically, and The Deal was one of the very first books that I had read BookTube book talk wise. This follows Hannah Wells and Garrett Graham. I would put this in probably just vibes, because I do remember Garrett Graham being an amazing book boyfriend and being so patient with Hannah, and I loved the like tutoring dynamic and the deal that they made, making each other, like I loved the build up to their romance, and I truly loved seeing them grow throughout the rest of the series. Then we have the score. The score follows Dean De Laurentiis and Allie. Allie is Hannah's best friend. This one is hard because I remember laughing a lot at it, but I don't know if I'd be into like all the toxicity and everything now. The score is more of like a friends with benefits to lovers. I feel like I'm gonna put this one in probably just vibes as well, because I did really enjoy the book. I did. I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, The Deal and the score could probably go into People Change and That's Okay as well. But sometimes I do find myself wanting to reread the Off-Campus series, so I feel like that's a little harsh. However, the Legacy, I am going to put into, oh, this is hard. I want to say People Change and That's Okay, but yeah, we're going to stick with People Change and That's Okay, because I understand why people don't really like this book. It is literally a huge epilogue novel. It was fun guessing which couple was going to be which, but I'm not really an epilogue girl no more. I'm not really an epilogue girl anymore. We're just going to get this one out of the way. Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. I feel like I'd hate this book now. Ugly Love would also be in this list, and I forgot to add it, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. Literally any Colleen Hoover book, because I'm pretty sure I gave It Ends With Us almost a 5-star. I just don't get Coho. I don't get Coho anymore. I don't own a single one of her books anymore. I got rid of all of them. This is very much 2021 me, early 2022, speaking into existence right now. I barely read any books, so I didn't really know what to expect in romance books, and this is not it. Miss Colleen Hoover is not what should be normalized when it comes to romance. Women's fiction, maybe, but I definitely feel like this would be like a 2-star read now if I were to read it. I do remember really enjoying Reminders of Him, and it was a very like loving story, but at the same time, like, we're normalizing, like, I get the hardships Kenna was going through. I get that, and that all she really wanted was her daughter, but like the circumstances that we were attempting to normalize in that book are kind of absurd thinking back. Like, the fact that we all were rooting for Kenna, like, I get it. I get she was a reformed person, but let's not forget, you basically killed someone. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I really don't remember this book. I'm gonna be honest. I really don't remember this book. I think I rated it 5 stars solely because of the plot twist at the end that now I don't even really remember too much. And I listened to it via audiobook, so I know I was not really collecting information all that much, so I have no clue why I gave it 5 stars. Again, it was just a super hyped up book, and me in 2022 was like, I have to give it 5 stars just because I remotely enjoyed it. I really don't remember what happened much in this book. And truthfully, I have not picked up any other Christina Lauren books since, besides The Honeymooners, which I really enjoyed that one. I don't think I gave that one 5 stars, so, and I would say I enjoyed The Honeymooners more than Love in Other Words. So the fact that Love in Other Words was a 5 star is kind of crazy to me. The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I still don't know how to say his last name. I also read The Maidens by him and loved it. Haven't read his new book. Not really a thriller girly anymore. So I'm gonna put this under I really don't remember this book. Because I truly don't. I know the plot twist was crazy. I can't really tell you what the plot twist was. I could tell you what the book's about. You're following a psychotherapist. I don't even remember his name. You're following a psychotherapist analyzing this female that murdered her husband, and the day she murdered her husband, she no longer spoke a single word, and so she's in this psychiatric unit for years being psychologically evaluated, but no one can really get through to her. So our psychotherapist is like, let me get a hand at it, let me try it. And that's about all I remember. Here is The Fine Print by Miss Lauren Asher. I don't know why Terms and Conditions isn't on here, because I did like Terms and Conditions, I think, more than The Fine Print. But I am going to put The Fine Print under 5 stars for a reason, because I do really love Rowan and Zara. It was just such, I feel like The Fine Print is the book where you're in Dreamland the most, because Rowan is now, I guess, the CEO of the design department of Dreamland, and he hires Zara to be a Dreamland designer. Is that what they called it? I don't fully remember. She gets to design parks and use her imagination and everything like that. It's her dream job. So you get kind of boss-employee dynamic, as well as Grumpy Sunshine, enemies to lovers. It's a very cute romance. I loved reading it in the summertime. I read it while I was in Florida in 2022. It was beautiful. I loved it. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys want to see more tier ranking vlogs, videos, if you want to see more tier ranking videos, be sure to let me know down below. It's such a comfy, cozy vibe to just sit here and tier rank and talk about some of my favorite and possibly least favorite books. I'm looking at you, Miss Colleen Hoover. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below to see more of my bookish content coming your way. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!